Wednesday show. Wednesday show. Wednesday. Oh, we should do a Country Bear Jamboree one since it's leaving this week. There was shows here on Wednesday and shows all around and a great big show for you all around. I don't know. Hello, everybody. We are coming to you live from my condo. I'm in a very leany mood today. I don't know why. I was leaning a lot earlier, too. Today, we're going to be talking all about the Country Bear Jamboree, mainly due to the fact that it is going to be disappearing forever. Well, not forever, but it will be the current rendition will be disappearing this coming up Saturday. Friday will be the last day that you can actually go see it. And then Saturday, if you go to the Magic Kingdom, unfortunately, you will not be able to see it. So tonight we're going to be going to kind of go through the history of the Country Bear Jamboree, talk a little bit about the show, some fun facts, and then, of course, go to your questions, as usual, about anything and everything with the Country Bear Jamboree. We can even talk about I didn't even think about it. We could talk about the 2002 classic film, The Country Bears, as well. But before we get to it, how's everyone doing? Is everyone doing good? Right now it's showing that we've got people watching, but no one's typing yet. So I'll give you guys a few seconds to get on here. I'm going to get a quick drink of water as we get this party started. There we go. People are talking. Hey, Shelly, how you doing? Love the People Mover. Look at that. That's a cool background. 2024 People Mover. And then it's got Space Mountain in the background as well. That's really cool. I like that a lot. Hey. Hola. Hello, Frank Fam. Frank Fam, how was the cruise? The cruise looked amazing. A non-Disney cruise, but it still looked pretty darn impressive. My aunt was on one of those ships, those massive ships, and she said that there was no way for her to see everything on the ship. But I saw your post on Facebook, and it looked insanely impressive. And someday, I've been on. So I've done. I mainly do exclusively Disney Cruise Line, as you guys know. But I have done one Princess and one Royal Caribbean in the past as well. And Princess was good. The location we went to was really good, but Royal Caribbean was a whole lot better for the cruise. The actual cruise atmosphere was so much fun. First non-Disney cruise in 20 years. Holy cow. Question, did they change the graveyard scene in the Haunted Mansion? No, they did not. I'm no. There's right now, I know that there's 2 ghosts that are currently under refurb for the Haunted Mansion, but besides that, I can't think of anything that is missing right now. It's when you're going through, so you go past the groundskeeper, and then you go through, there's the 8 or 9 tombstones on your left hand side, then you go past the singing bus. Right after you go past the singing bus, straight ahead there is a tea table, and the 2 ghosts that are sitting at the tea table are currently not sitting there, which is a shame, because the female ghost that is there says my favorite line of the entire attraction. You can still hear it, but it doesn't have the exact same. It's not the exact same, greatness without her actually there. But it's when they go, everybody scream, and then she goes, scream or sugar, because she's pouring tea. So I always thought that was really funny. Okay, let's get this party started. We're going to start the 753rd episode of the Wednesday show in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 753rd episode of the Wednesday show. Today is January 24th, 2024, 2424. Hey. And I'm your host, as always, Brent Dodge. Hello. Today, we're going to be going through and talking all about the current rendition of the Country Bear Jamboree, plus how on earth did it get to where it is today. We're going to go through the entire history of the attraction, because it's got a great history that I just don't think many people understand, and it's got a great connection to Walt Disney as well, which we're going to go through, and we're going to add all of that stuff as well. And of course, before we get to that, let's talk about our news for the week. First off, thank you everyone out there who's been joining us for our Saturday in the Park. If you didn't already know, every single Saturday right here on my YouTube channel, we do a live broadcast from someplace found throughout the Walt Disney World Resort. You never know where we're going to be. However, I will tell you exactly where we're going to be. So if you joined us last Saturday, then you probably know that what we did this past Saturday was we went through and looked for the hidden characters in Canada, UK, and France. This coming up week, we are going to be going back to the Festival of the Arts and looking for the hidden characters that are found in Morocco, Japan, and the American Adventure. So make sure you join us for that if you want to have all that fun as well. And that's at 1 o'clock Eastern time. So make sure, if you're not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Well, let's throw that up there. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you've not liked the video yet, too, here on YouTube, make sure you like it. As always, we will go into extra names tonight. We will not just talk about Country Bear Jamboree, but we will go to your questions as well if we continue to get more and more subscribers as the night goes on here. So let's take a look at what our current situation is. Oh, long runway, 3,794 current subscribers here on the channel. It'd be awesome if we got to that to 3,800 before the end of the show. Just saying. We're 6 away. Let's see if hopefully, maybe, possibly, we can get to 3,800 subscribers before this evening is done. Okay. Oh, we got some more people hopping on. Howdy. And good evening. What's the good evening? Okay, anyways, as always, tonight's episode is sponsored by our You Might Have Seen a Sail. You might have seen some whales, but did you ever see some Patreon pals? Patreon pals. If you're not a Patreon pal already and you want to help support this channel, make sure you go check out my Patreon, and you can become a Patreon pal for as little as $1 a month. So make sure you join us over there as well. Okay, let's get this party started. Exits. And that's one of my Patreon bills. He's the highest level too. So, and other people are saying that's my best jingle yet. So, it's a win-lose situation here. Anyways, tonight we're gonna be going through and talking about the Country Bear Jamboree. So, first off, before we get into it, let's talk a little bit about what's happening with Country Bear Jamboree, because back in September during the Destination D for D23, they made the announcement that over the next few years, there's going to be some massive changes happening around the Disney parks around the world. But some of the big ones that they talked about was the disappearance of Dinoland USA, which we've talked a little bit about. Well, we've talked a lot about. Also, it's thought to be about disappearing. And then one of the other ones, which a lot of people are shocked by, was the disappearance of Country Bear Jamboree. But there's also going to be a reemergence of Country Bear Jamboree. I've talked to a lot of people who aren't aware that it's going to be coming back as a brand new show. It's still going to be the Country Bear Jamboree, but now we're going to be featuring different songs than the songs that we currently have, and it's going to be kind of a little bit of a different storyline. So we don't know all of the exact details of what's going to be happening or what's going to be being replaced, but at the same time, we do know the Country Bears will still be alive here at the Magic Kingdom, which is good because the Magic Kingdom is where the Country Bears belong. And with that, let's get into the history of the Country Bear Jamboree. As we go through here, if you have any questions about the Country Bear Jamboree, make sure to throw them to the comments. If you have any other questions, as always, if we get more subscribers, we will go through and answer more non-Country Bear questions as we go through. Don't want a brand new show. I am pretty upset too, but at the same time, we're going to go through the history and why I'm sad about it, but at the same time, I'm not like completely distraught, and I feel like a lot of people are very distraught, even though I go to the Country Bear Jamboree almost once a week, and let me tell you, I never see anyone in the show. There's lots of times where I'm like one of like 10 people in the entire theater, and now the last 2 days that I've gone, there's been like a sold-out crowd. I'm like, where were all of you guys the last 10 years? Because you weren't with me. You were just hanging out someplace else, and I have just been kind of sitting around watching the Country Bear Jamboree by myself or with my friend Lindsay whenever she's in town, because she is hands down, without a doubt, the biggest Country Bear Jamboree fan I've ever met in my life. And we'll get to that story in a little bit here too. Okay, so let's go back to 1960. Woo! So way back in 1960, there was something that would happen with Walt Disney that would change the entire course of mankind, or bearkind. So back in 1960 was the Winter Olympics. And during the Winter Olympics, prior to that, there was an opening ceremony, but the opening ceremony was like, hey, good luck, everyone. You guys are going to be great, blah, 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 blah. It was very dull, very boring, blah, blah, blah. If you are used to the Olympics anytime from 1960 until now, you know that the opening and closing ceremonies are a massive spectacle. And a big reason that they are a massive spectacle is because of Walt Disney himself. So back in 1960, during the opening and closing ceremonies of the Winter Olympics, Walt Disney himself was asked to become the Grand Master of the entire Olympic Committee. So what does that mean exactly? They wanted him to be the person who was going to be responsible for making all the fanfare, making a big spectacle of what the Winter Olympics could truly be. So Walt Disney, along with his massive team at Walt Disney Productions, would put on a massive spectacle where they would have a great opening ceremony. Now, this great opening ceremony all of a sudden became one of the highlights of the Olympics back in 1960, and so many people watched it that after that, the Olympics, 2 years later in 1962 for the Summer Olympics, said, you know what, we need to have a big fanfare as well. So because of Walt Disney and Walt Disney Productions and the fanfare that they created for the Winter Olympics in 1960, it became a massive success. And all of a sudden, every single Olympic since then, people watch the opening ceremonies, they watch the closing ceremonies because they know there's going to be something amazing that's going to happen. And it's a great way to start the Olympics, and it's a great way to end the Olympics. And I know what you're thinking, Brent, why on earth are you talking about 1960 and the Winter Olympics and Walt Disney? Well, that's a great question, random person. So the reason we are going through and talking about the 1960 Olympics was because while we were there in 1960 Olympics, Walt Disney was sitting in a ski lodge because obviously it's the Winter Olympics. You've got ski lodges and different things like that. And while he's in the ski lodge, he starts to wonder, I wonder, why? No, he starts to wonder, why on earth would people be coming out to a ski lodge any time of the year? Is there a way for Walt Disney to create a brand new destination location where people will fly from anywhere around the world to go skiing, to go to a lodge and have it so it's solely owned by Disney? And he said, you know what? This is what we're doing. So Walt Disney started to put a team together to create a brand new vacation destination, which would become the Mineral King Lodge. Yeah, Mineral King Lodge. Mineral King Ski Lodge. That's it. The Mineral King Ski Lodge. And he had the perfect location for where it was going to be. It was going to be like central to Northern California, and everyone and everything would be everyone would be going, not everything, everyone would be wanting to go to this ski lodge. This was a massive plan that he had. It was completely different from Disneyland. It was completely different from Walt Disney World, which was in the early stages of planning, but not quite there yet. And while he was going through and trying to figure out this ski lodge, he had a lot of resistance. And all these people started to say, you know what, we don't want a ski lodge in this property. We want to have it so this land is preserved. And we don't want the Disney company moving into our area to create a brand new place where all these people are going to be flocking to. And Walt Disney said, no. It's going to be this great lodge. It's going to be a great place. And everyone's going to want to come here. And they said, that's the problem. We don't want everyone to come here. We wanted to have it so this land is preserved. We want to have it so it's only the locals that are here. So with a lot of fight and a lot of resistance, Walt Disney finally said, okay, we're not going to build the ski lodge. Mineral King Ski Lodge will no longer be a thing. And I know you're thinking, okay, how on earth does this have to do with the Country Bear Jamboree? I told you we're going to get there. So when he was going through and planning this ski lodge, he had all these different ideas. Great, amazing ski slopes, amazing room and resort for people to stay at. But what if you're not a skier? I mean, there's always like the nice fireplace where you can have your, be drinking your hot cocoa by, and people can be kind of cozy up by the fire. And it's still a great place to hang out. But Walt wanted to bring a world-class Disney attraction to the ski lodge. And the idea that he had was in the lobby area, there was going to be a show that would just run continuously. So people who are just kind of hanging out in the lobby can watch the show while they're just hanging on the lobby. The show would host a family of bears that would put on musical acts for the people who are just kind of hanging out there. There we go. How on earth does this have to do anything with Country Bear Jamboree? We're getting there. So the idea was to have this Country Bear show that people would just kind of sit back, relax, and watch the Country Bears perform and do silly acts. Now, when the idea of Mineral King Ski Lodge would completely disappear, eventually what would happen is Walt Disney would say, I don't know if we're going to ever make this Country Bear Jamboree thing. Maybe we should have it so we don't really do it. So Walt Disney had two people who are currently working on the Country Bear Jamboree as the main two Imagineers working on it. One was Albertino, and not Al Pacino, but Albertino, and another one was the very famous Exitensio. Now, he had it so these two people were working on it. Oh, and Mark Davis too. And so when he was going through and having it so these guys were working on it, they kind of started to put it on the back burner when the idea of the ski lodge just kind of fell apart. However, Mark Davis started to continue to do different sketches of these bears, and he thought that some of the ideas of the bears could be successful in possibly Disneyland or in the Florida project that they were currently starting to go through and make more and more progress on. So get to about the mid-1960s. In the mid-1960s, Walt Disney finally says, hey, you know what? We have this plan. We're going to build a brand new property in Central Florida. It's going to be called the Florida Project, with Epcot being the main part of it. So when they're going through and trying to create the Florida Project, Mark Davis says, you know what? I never really put all those ideas for the Country Bear Jamboree behind. I'm going to have it so I continue to work on these things. So Walt Disney makes the announcement. Mark Davis starts to work on things. And then in 1966, late 1966, about September, October, we don't know the exact date, but September, October of 1966, Walt Disney walks into Mark Davis's office. He goes in there and he says, hey, Mark, what are you working on right now? And Mark Davis says, oh, I'm working on the Country Bear Jamboree. And he starts to show all the different pictures of all the different characters. He's got Big Al, who is based off of Albertino, one of the people that he's working off of. And he says, that's great. And he shows him Liver Lips McGraw. He shows him Henry. He shows him the Five Bear Rugs. And when he's going through and showing him all these different pictures, Walt Disney laughs. And he says, this is great stuff. I absolutely love it. Great job, Mark. Now, if you know anything about Walt Disney and the history of Walt Disney and how he interacted with the Imagineers, how he interacted with the animators, he would never say, great job. He would always say, that'll do. That'll do meant, hey, you knocked this one out of the park. However, this time around, he looked at Mark Davis and said, great job. Keep it up. And Mark Davis at that moment knew something was wrong. So as Walt Disney walked out of the office, he looked back at him and said, great job again. He laughed and he walked away. And that, my friends, was the last time that anyone ever heard Walt Disney laugh. So a few months later, Walt Disney would pass away on December 15th, 1966. And when the different Imagineers and different animators would go back and talk about their last interactions with Walt, the only one that really said that there was a laugh involved was Mark Davis. And he said he would always laugh when he looked at the funny-looking bears for the Country Bear Jamboree. So all of a sudden, the Country Bear Jamboree started to go through and not just be known as the Country Bear Jamboree for the animators, but it actually started to become known as Walt's Last Laugh. So when they started to go forward with the idea of what they're going to do with the Florida project, one thing was certain in the Imagineers' minds. They wanted to have it so the Country Bear Jamboree would be one of those attractions that would open up at Walt Disney World on October 1st, 1971, in honor of Walt's Last Laugh. So in October 1st, 1971, the Country Bear Jamboree would open up with the I was going to say with the Country Bear Jamboree, but that doesn't make sense because it is the Country Bear Jamboree. It would open up with the Magic Kingdom, and it would actually be listed off as an e-ticket attraction. So it was going to be the highest of the high attractions, and at that point, it was actually an 18-minute attraction. So the 18-minute attraction would be insanely popular, like absolutely insanely popular, one of the most popular attractions at the Magic Kingdom when it first opened up, to the point that in March of 1973, I got to read my own book here. I think it was 72. Come on, you can do this, Brent. I think it was 1972. Yeah, March 24th, 1972, my birthday. 12 years before I was born. So March 24th, 1972, the Country Bear Jamboree would open up in Disneyland because it was such a popular attraction. Immediately when it opened up at Walt Disney World, that the Imagineers said, you know what, we're going to bring this over to Disneyland as well. So they put it at the very end of New Orleans Square, and they open up a brand new land called Bear Country in honor of the Country Bear Jamboree. So the Country Bear Jamboree, because of the popularity of it at Walt Disney World, in Disneyland didn't have just one, but it actually had two different showrooms. So if you went over there to Disneyland from 1972 until it would eventually close in the 1990s, there was actually two different showrooms that you could actually go see the Country Bear Jamboree at, because it was that insanely popular. But I need to get a drink. Why did they close at Disneyland? We're going to get to that in just a few minutes here, Matt. Write it one more time so I don't forget it. I'm just afraid that I'll miss it. So in 1972, it would open up in Disneyland. And then in 1983, when they were building Tokyo Disneyland, they said, you know what? We need to have the Country Bear Jamboree over here as well. So they got another one over there as well. But at the same time, in the 1980s, the popularity of the Country Bear Jamboree was starting to taper off. Now, at this point, over at the Magic Kingdom, we would have popular attractions like not the Country Bear Jamboree. I'm stuck on the Country Bear Jamboree. We'd have things like Big Thunder Mountain Railroad would be opening up. Space Mountain had just opened up a few years before. And then, of course, things like Pirates of the Caribbean had opened up in the meantime as well. So a lot of these other attractions were opening up. And also in 1982, we would have the opening of Epcot. So the Country Bear Jamboree started to drift a little bit in the popularity. And immediately the Imagineers said, we need to do something to, bring a little bit more life to the Country Bear Jamboree. So they created a brand new show. So I know what people are saying. Wait, no, they're starting a brand new show right now. Well, they are now, but they also did back in the 1980s. So in the 1980s, we actually had our first rendition of the show that changed completely, and that would be the Vacation Hoedown. All the backdrops would completely change, the characters' wardrobes would change, and we had a brand new show in both Walt Disney World and Disneyland, and that show was insanely popular for quite a few years. Now, in the meantime, because of the popularity of the show, they wanted to have it so people would keep on coming back and forth multiple times a year. So during the Christmas season, they would actually get a brand new Country Bear Jamboree Christmas edition as well. And they would go through and also sing some holiday songs. So the original version of the Country Bear Jamboree completely switched in the 1980s and kept on going that way until 1991. So in 1991, with the 20th anniversary of Walt Disney World, the popularity of the Country Bear Jamboree, Vacation Hoedown, was starting to drift off once again. And the Imagineers said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to actually bring back the original one as part of our 20th year celebration. It's kind of crazy that like the 20th year celebration was a big thing. And now we're like 52 years later. But anyways, that's not what we're going to be talking about right now. Right now, we're talking about, well, no, we are talking about the 20th. So in 1991, they would bring back the original show. Now, the original show would go for 18 minutes long, and it was an insanely popular show. But again, as time would go on, it would start to drift a little bit downhill, and not as many people would be as interested in going to see the Country Bear Jamboree. But during this time, they also had the Vacation Hoedown. They would also have the Christmas edition would be going on during the holiday season as well. So eventually in 2005, they realized that, yes, the Christmas edition is pretty popular, but it's just not popular enough to close down for a month and then do a whole revamp for the Christmas edition and then close it down for another month and then bring back the original version and kind of keep on going through back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. They just said it's just not worth our time and effort because it's just not popular enough to continue to close down. It's not bringing in enough people. So in 2005, they said, you know what? No more Christmas edition. We're going to have it so it's just going to be the regular edition all year round. Not a bad move because, again, it's not the most popular attraction in the world. So from 2005 until 2012, we had only the original version going on. And then in 2012, it was decided that a few of the songs probably weren't the most popular or weren't the most politically correct songs. And there are also probably some songs that just are taking a little bit too long in the show. Now, at this point, there was a lot of research that was being done on the attention span of younger audiences. And a lot of people said that things like the Wednesday show couldn't exist because a lot of people don't have the attention span to watch Brent Dodge for an entire hour. Same thing for the Country Bear Jamboree. They said a lot of kids probably just don't have the attention span to sit in a show for 18 minutes and watch a group of 18 bears go around and sing different country songs. So they said, what we're going to do is we're going to, one, shorten it up with some of the more offensive songs disappearing, and two, have it so it will be a little bit shorter of a show and have it so maybe we can get people through a little bit quicker and maybe some more kids will actually enjoy the show. So in 2012, the show was shortened by another 6 minutes, bringing it to its current 12-minute rendition. And that, my friends, is a long 20-minute history about the Country Bear Jamboree. Who would have thought that we could go 20 minutes about the Country Bear Jamboree history? But we haven't even talked about the current show. So let's talk a little bit about the current show. While we go through and talk about the current show, if you guys have any questions, throw your questions out there. I am going to take a look and see what we're going to have. I still think they need to change the names to the Bayou Bears Backyard. No. Country Bear Jamboree. That's the only thing we're sticking with. The Bayou Bears Backyard Bonanza. No, it's got to be the Country Bears. How on earth does this have anything? Oh, that was we got through that one. Why did they close Disneyland? So the Disneyland one would eventually close in the early 2000s, mainly due to the fact that it just started to kind of drift in popularity over there, and they wanted to do something new. They realized that a lot of people, so if for those of you guys who aren't Disneyland fans, the Country Bear Jamboree was literally right next door to where Splash Mountain was. So, for instance, to put this into Walt Disney World terms, if you are at, I don't even know, if you are at Canada, is that even a good one? That's not a good one because that's still too far away. If you are at, if you're at the entrance of the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh and Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, you know how it's like right across the way? That's how close the entrance of Country Bear Jamboree and Splash Mountain were. Literally, you could be standing right between both of them and have like 20 yards between both of you. So because of Splash Mountain and its popularity, there was more and more people who were going to Splash Mountain and completely ignoring the Country Bear Jamboree. And it just didn't make sense anymore to have two theaters there. So at one point they did talk about having it so there's only going to be one theater and then trying to figure out what to do with the other theater. And then they said, what we could do is we could do exactly what we did to Mr. Toad's Wild Ride in Magic Kingdom and close it down for the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. So that's what they would eventually do. They figured it's a lot of land and they could actually have it so they have a brand new attraction. So that's when the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh came in. And if you've watched my YouTube shorts when I was over in Disneyland, one of the shorts I actually do is I point out, I wonder if can we actually, now that I'm thinking about it, because of this newfangled way where we can share things, can we share that? Yes, we can. Okay, let's see if I can figure this out the right way. So we can actually share. We want to share. Is this it? Yeah, we want to share this one right here. Okay, so what I'm saying is if you're on Country Bear Jamboree and you go through this area right here, then you take a look up, it's gonna be tough to see, but you can actually see the three heads of Max, Melvin, and Buff up there. So yeah, not too bad. All right, we can close this down. Disappear, back over the falls. Okay, let's go for our next question here. Who's your favorite character? Mine is Big Al. I really do like Big Al. I think it's Big Al. There's just something about Big Al that I absolutely love. And I feel like everyone loves Big Al, and I feel like he's everyone's favorite. I think there's not a character in this attraction that is not a likable character. I feel like every single one of them is a great character. So let's talk a little bit about the show. We're going to talk about the characters and all of the characters that are involved. I'm also going to open up this book just because I'm going to forget one character's name, because I forget the one character's name every time. Also, if you've never read A Closer Look at the Magic Kingdom's Frontierland by Brent Dodge, myself, in there we do go through, let's see how long it is, page 14 to page 16. So 12 pages all about the Country Bear Jamboree are in this book. So if you're ever interested and wanting to learn more about the stuff, even though we're covering a lot of it right now, I suggest buying the book. So let's talk a little bit about the book. So our basic storyline is there's Ursus H. Bear is the founder of the Country Bear Jamboree. When you walk into the theater, you can actually find his plaque above the center stage. So how it is there's 5 different curtains. There's a small curtain, massive curtain, small curtain that are on the theater. The massive curtain is going to be our main show, is going to be there, but there's different acts that pop up all around the thing. In addition to that, on our far right-hand side, we've got 3 heads that are on the wall. We have got Max, who is a stag, Melvin, who is a deer, and Buff, who is a buffalo. Yes. And they are 3 heads that are there. Fun fact, those 3 heads actually were on the other side of the wall as well. At one point, actually not even one point, for like 10 years over in the area, which is now Pecos Bill's Tall Tale and Cafe. Part of Pecos Bill's was Pecos Bill's, but another part, the part that's closest to the Country Bear Jamboree, was a bar, quote unquote bar. It actually didn't serve alcohol. It was called the Mile Long Bar. And at the Mile Long Bar, we still had Max, Melvin, and Buff hanging out on the ceiling, and they would actually, or not the ceiling, on the wall, and they would go through and they would actually interact with the guests while the guests were sitting there getting a soda. So overall, very, very cool. Hey, Pat, how you doing? Oh, wait. Oh yeah, Matt was with me. Matt had to be quiet while I filmed that part. I did. Before we get on the ride, I said, I'm fine if you guys want to talk during the ride, but there's just one part. If I start filming, I just need you guys to be quiet because I need to try to film it. And it was successful. So Matt is to thank for that as well. So thank you, Matt, for being there when we went through. Okay, so let's continue here. So we have Max, Melvin, and Buff. We have Ursus H. Bear above there. And then we've got our 5 main stages. When you first walk in the center of the entire thing, you will see different advertisements for several different bear type of companies. We got like Grizzly Dentist. We've got for gummy bears. That doesn't say that. I'm just making that up. And then we've got like Go to the Dump, which is like a landfill for bears to go and dine at and bring your lady loves. So we've got all those different advertisements there. And then on our far right-hand side, or stage left, as they would call it in the theater world, but on our far right-hand side, we have the first curtain would open up. Now, first, when we get there, our main character, the master of ceremonies, Henry, is there to greet all of us. And he says, give us a little intro there, Gomer. And Gomer pops up on the main part of the stage on the far left-hand side. Again, stage right for them. So he's playing the piano, Gomer. And while he plays the piano, there's a few things that I always like to point out to people who might not really be paying attention to the details. But one of my favorite things about this is on top of the piano, we have a massive honeycomb. Coming out of the honeycomb, there is a bee that's flying around. It's on a stick and just kind of sits there, and it buzzes every now and then during the show. And then if you look, there's actually a straw that's coming out of the honeycomb kind of towards Gomer, so you can get like a quick break and he can take a drink of honey whenever he wants to during the show. But Henry comes out, not on the far right hand side, but the second one over, and he introduces himself. Howdy, folks. Welcome to the Country Bear Jamboree. And when he goes through, he introduces the first act. The first act is the 5 bear rugs, which consist of Zeke and Zeb and Ted and Fred and a bear named Tennessee. Now, while we have Zeke and Zeb and Ted and Fred and a bear named Tennessee out there, on the bottom right-hand corner of the stage, we also have another bear who's holding onto a teddy bear. His name is Oscar, baby Oscar. And then while we go through and have it, so we've got the bears there. there are a few different things in here that I think are just absolutely hilarious. Now, first off, we have Zeke as the center one. He is like the leader of the entire gang. He's like the oldest one, and he's sitting there and he's playing the guitar. Then we have Zeke and Zeb, and then Ted is playing the broom, 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 broom. And if you look at his jar, it says E flat. There's also an F sharp, and there's also an E flat or E sharp as well that are kind of scattered around the stages. In addition to that, if you take a look at the guitar and if you look at the thing that the bear named Tennessee plays, both of them are actually being held up by plungers. They've got some toilet humor in there, and I always like some toilet humor. If you look at the back section of the entire stage, you can also find that the backdrop of the entire area is an outhouse. Again, some good toilet humor. So those ones go through and they sing the song, the Bear Band Serenade. Now, the Bear Band Serenade was actually written by George Bruns and X Atencio. X Atencio is famous for writing things like Grim Grinning Ghost Over the Haunted Mansion and Yo Ho, A Pirate's Life for Me. Walt Disney actually had it so he was an animator originally, and eventually he said, you know what, I think you would have a really good shot at doing some good songwriting throughout the years, and he handpicked him to do things like Pirates of the Caribbean and Haunted Mansion. X Atencio did it very reluctantly. However, he ended up being very good at it, and after they had those two come out, they said, you know what, we want you and George to be working on a brand new song for the Country Bear Jamboree. So George did the instrumentals, and X went through and he actually created the Bear Band Serenade, which is a great song as well, and it's just one of my favorite little songs throughout all the parks, and most people just don't give it any love. But again, that was written by X Atencio, and fun fact, this is actually going to be the only song in the entire attraction that was written specifically for the attraction. All the other songs are actual, real, live country songs that were created back in the 1950s and 1960s. So overall, really, really cool. Okay, we got some questions coming in here, so we're going to continue in just a second here. Who are the voices of the Bears? So like Buff, the Buffalo, he is voiced by Thurl Ravenscroft. Thurl Ravenscroft has done the voices for many different characters found throughout Disney history, including characters like one of the singing bust over at the Haunted Mansion. He's one of the birds inside of the Enchanted Tiki Room. And he was also Tony the Tiger. That's great. And he also sang the song, You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch. In addition to that, we also have other voice actors that have worked with Disney on several different things. One of the most famous people that actually had to work on this was Al Ritter. Tex Ritter. Tex Ritter? I got to go to my notes. Tex Ritter. Is that his name? He's a famous country singer. I'm not a Texas fan. Okay, where is it? Tex Ritter, yeah, Tex Ritter. Haha, I remembered. I just didn't feel 1,000,000% confident in myself. Tex Ritter voiced Big Al. So Big Al actually sings Blood on the Saddle, which is actually a Tex Ritter song. And then on top of that, it actually was Tex Ritter. Is Barry one of the Bears? No, he's not. Oh, that's a great question, Matt. I love that question. So if you ever watched the 2002 film, The Country Bears, it wasn't called The Country Bear Jamboree, it was called The Country Bears. It flopped miserably. Or maybe I should say fantastically. It was like famously bad back in 2002, but the main character in that film was a bear whose name was Barry, who ran away from home and wanted to join the Country Bears, and he eventually joined the Country Bears. Spoiler alert. And my favorite part in the entire film is when they go to find one of the bears and they show up, and the bear has a gardener, and the gardener is Elton John. They're like, that guy looks like Elton John. And it was. It's such a bad movie, but I love it. I need to watch that again sometime soon, because that is one of those funny movies. But no, Barry is not one of the bears. Barry was actually created specifically for the Country Bears, the movie. What's your favorite detail of the Country Bear Jamboree? We will get there when we get to. Oh, we're going to get there. We'll get there. It's not one of the ones that I've pointed out yet. Oh, wait. So after the 5 bear rugs pop up, then we have Ernest pops up. Ernest is the only bear that only appears, or I'm sorry, he's one of 2 bears that only appear one time in the entire show. And let me explain why. So Ernest is on the far left-hand side of the stage. On the far right-hand side of the stage is Trixie. Ernest and Trixie, the only times you ever see them are the first times you ever see them. Well, it's the last time you ever see them too. And the reason is because all the different stages, except for the center stage, has it so there are two different bears, and the bears will flip around. The one that is on the far right, along with the one that's the next one to the right, along with the one that's directly to the left of um, the main stage, all of those feature Henry at some point or another. So the one that's second from the right has Henry at the very start. However, at the end, Henry's not there. We have a different bear there because Henry's at the bottom right. That's where Trixie will eventually be in the start part of, or the first half of the show. And then eventually Henry takes over and Henry ends the show there. So we can't see Trixie because she's behind the curtain. And then same thing with Wendell, or I'm sorry, not Wendell, with Ernest. Ernest is going to be on the far left-hand side, but at the end of the show, we have Big Al there. So because Big Al's there, Ernest is only there at one point. So Ernest plays the guitar. One of my favorite things about the guitar, if you look at the guitar, and I actually posted this on my Instagram story today too, but one of my favorite little details in there is the fact that his guitar says dude. It's not like the most amazing detail, but I just always found that funny that it says dude. Like your Country Bear Jamboree, but I don't know many country musicians are like, dude. But apparently Ernest is like, dude, because his thing says dude on there. And I've always loved that. But Ernest sings a song, If You Don't Bite, You Prowl. And it talks about how he goes out and these ladies are trying to like flirt with him. And then he's like, no, I'm married. And they're like, well, if you can't bite, don't prowl. After that, Henry will come back on stage and he introduces Liver Lips McGraw. Liver Lips McGraw is on the second from the right-hand side. And he sings, my woman ain't pretty, but she don't swear. My woman ain't pretty, but she don't swear on. She's kind of heavy, don't weigh a ton. She's my woman through and through. All right, after Liver Lips McGraw leaves, then we actually have Gomer come out on stage and he sings the song, how long is forever, how soon is now or never. Anyways, and then we eventually have Mama Don't Whoop Little Buford, Mama Don't Pound on his head, Mama Don't Whoop Little Buford, I think you should shoot him instead. Bang. That's right, folks. We only got high-class stuff on this show. And then we're going to introduce the lovely woman from Tampa, Trixie. And then Trixie comes out on the far left-hand side. Also, another really cool detail about Trixie. So Trixie sings a song about how tears will be the chaser for her wine. And while she is singing, she actually has a glass of wine in her hand. If you look at the glass of wine very carefully, you have to be on like the far right-hand side of the entire area and kind of like at the right angle. If you're like in the second row, third row, you can see it. Fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th row, probably not. But those first few rows, it's pretty easy to, or not easy to see, but you can see it from a certain angle. And you can see that at the very top of the wine glass, there's actually a layer. So the waters or the wine has just been in there forever and it's constantly swishing around, but it'll never escape because it's, they don't want to have it so the water's flipping everywhere. So if you look at the top, there is a little layer on the top to keep it from falling off. It's a cool little detail. Not many people notice it. I'm sure people assume it, but you can actually see it far right, second or third row back. And that's where I sat today. I sat in the third row today. Yesterday I sat on the second row. And yeah. Okay. So after we have Trixie come out, and then eventually we have it. So the Sunbonnet Trio, also from the Sunshines, they come out. Bubbles, Bunny, and Beulah, and they sing, every time I meet a guy who gets me shook, all I ever get from him's a dirty look. It's the same way everywhere I found. All the guys that turn me on, turn me down. All the guys that turn me on, turn me down. Nothing works for me that I found. It's the same way everywhere I see. Nothing ever seems to work for me. Nothing ever seems to work for me. Okay, so here's probably where one of my favorite little details of the entire thing comes in. So while the three of them are singing, on the back section of the wall, you can see a caricature of a female bear who is trying to woo these different male bears that are walking by. If you look at this female bear, she might look familiar to you. And the reason she might look familiar to you is not because she is the exact duplicate of a character, but it's because she was actually inspired by a Disney character from the 1940s. So back in the 1940s, there was a film called Fun and Fancy Free that would come out. Fun and Fancy Free is probably more popular with people who are familiar with Mickey and the Beanstalk, where Mickey, Donald, and Goofy go up the beanstalk, so they see Willie the Giant, etc., 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 and eventually come tumbling down. Now, in that same film, it was one of the package films, at the very first half of the film, there was a short cartoon called Bongo. Now, Bongo was a circus bear who ran away from the circus, and eventually he would make his way into the society of actual bears that lived out in the wilderness. While he was there, he met a girl whose name was Lulubelle, and Lulubelle was spinning with Bongo, but at the same time, she was also being wooed by I'm using the word woo a lot. She was also wooed by another bear whose name was Lumpjaw. Now, if you look at the characters here, Lulubelle and Lumpjaw are both the inspirations for the characters that are on the screen. So Lulubelle is the inspiration for the female bear who's like, oh, like falling for all the different guys, but all the guys who turn her down. So all the guys that are walking by are all based off of Lumpjaw, the bear that also appeared in the short cartoon Bongo that appeared in Fun and Fancy Free. Little fun fact. Oh, little fun fact. Most people don't know this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, most people, everyone knows this one. Okay, so after we go through that, then here we have the one, the only, the last, the Big Tom Swingers, Swingy Teddy Bear. And then coming from the top is Teddy Bear. And while she's swinging, she sings, oh, there he goes, if he only knows the heart he's breaking. And then we have Max, lovely, lovely. It's up to him. Oh, sing it, Gail, that's Buff. And then, oh, we'll forget about the hearts that he's hardly breaking. My, that's Henry. Heart, we did all that we could. And then she says, y'all go come up and see me sometime, you hear? And then Henry says, as soon as I find a ladder, I'll be right up. And then the curtains close. And then it's the big star of the entire show, the one that everyone loves. As Eric pointed out earlier, oh, that's not it. Mine is Big Al. Everyone's is Big Al. On the far left-hand side, we have Big Al make his big debut as he sings, there was blood on the saddle and blood on the ground, around all around, and a great big puddle of blood on the ground. So Big Al is beloved by so many people, but what most people don't realize is that Big Al is actually a caricature of Albertino. So if you remember at the start, we talked about how Albertino, along with Mark Davis, were the two main Imagineers, and then Extensio and George Burns helped out with a lot of stuff. But Big Al and Mark Davis were the two, Albertino and Mark Davis were the two big people who worked on this attraction. And one of the things that they thought would be funny is to have it so Big Al would actually be based on Albertino's look. So if you've ever seen a picture of Albertino, I'm sure if you Google Albertino / Big Al, you'll see a side-by-side comparison. And the picture of the two of them side by side, it's like, oh, like poor Albertino, because he does have a very similar look to Big Al. So Big Al was actually inspired by an Imagineer who just happened to have the exact same look as we have here with Big Al. So after that, Henry comes out with our last song, and it's Henry along with Sammy the Raccoon. Sammy the Raccoon is a raccoon that's on his hat. So he's wearing a coonskin hat, but it's not actually a coonskin hat. It's actually a raccoon that's on top of his head. And him and Sammy start to sing Davy Crockett, and they go through the song. And in the middle of the song, all of a sudden, Big Al pops up again, and he starts singing Blood on the Saddle again. And Henry starts yelling at him, hey, no, you had your turn. Hey, gang, hit it. And then all the characters that we have seen throughout the entire thing, with the exception of Ernest and Trixie, do appear on stage as they all start to sing to get Big Al out of there. Big Al disappears. We hear some clatter, and then all the other curtains close as well. And then you hear from from Henry saying, "Well, as you can see, we're just one big happy family. What do you say there, Sammy? I say, y'all come back. You hear?" And then we have our exit music as we go through. Max, Melvin, and Buff go through and point out to you to make sure that you bring all your belongings and your husband too. And that brings us to the end of Country Bear Jamboree. Okay, I'm sure you guys have questions, so throw your questions out there. Oh, but Eric asked, what's your favorite detail in Country Bear Jamboree? So one of my favorite details in the Country Bear Jamboree is, first off, I like how on the center stage, like I said, above the center stage, you have Ursus H. Bear. You've got like the little memorial to him from 1954 until 1928. I want to say were the years, or I'm sorry, 1854 to 1928. I want to say were the years he was alive. I can't really remember. I remember 1928 for sure, but I can't remember the other side. But above the other four stages, we do have the Greek happiness and sad face, like the famous things, but they're all bears instead of like the typical one. I also like when Teddy Bear comes down. If you look at what is coming down that she's coming out of, it's actually a massive sunflower. So all the petals actually open up. And then if you look in the middle, it's actually the seeds for the sunflower. It's a really cool detail that most people don't really pay attention to, but I've always thought that was a really cool detail. I also like when you're actually in the lobby area, if you take a look at the ground, there's all these different claw marks on the ground because there's bears there. In addition to that, there are 9 different portraits found throughout the area. The 9 pictures that are found there are mainly different concept art or concept drawings for what the attraction was going to be and eventually would become. But when you go through there, you can actually see some of the renditions, the later renditions, so like closer to what we actually got of what the characters would look like for the Country Bear Jamboree, but they're done as portraits. So when you're in there, you can actually see portraits of the different characters, like Big Al, Henry, Sammy's on his hat. In that one, you get the 5 bear rugs along with Oscar. All the different characters do appear in that spot as well, but it's kind of like a nice little preview, but the preview also allows you to kind of see the characters. In addition to that, even before you get into the theater, if you look at the back of the post, so when you actually get to the post, when you get to the sign, there's like a sign saying Country Bear Jamboree, and it's got this little advertisement. If you look on the other side of it, there is a thing, which is what a bear named Tennessee plays. It's a thing, but instead of having 1 string like the one that's in the show, there's actually 2 strings there instead. Okay, why do you think the retheming is occurring? It's just not a popular attraction anymore, unfortunately. Like I said, until this week, usually when I go in, it's me and like 10 other people there. Like it's literally like there's been times where I go in there and it's like me and 3 guests and a cast member. So I think the main idea for the retheming is the same idea for the retheming back in 1982. It's the same idea for the retheming in 1991. It's the same idea for the retheming in 2005. It's the same for the retheming in 2012. It is, how can we get more people into the show? Because we don't want to get rid of the Country Bear Jamboree, but at the same time, we need to do something. Otherwise, we're going to have to shut it down. And up until literally a week or 2 ago, when they first announced that it was going to be closing for sure this month, I would go in there and they're like, even during the busy times, it'd be me and like 5 people in there. And I think for Disney, it's if there's not a lot of people seeing these shows, they usually shut them down. So I think we're getting very lucky that the bears are still going to exist and not that the bears are just going to be gone for good. Like that was my big fear. A few years ago, there was a rumor that the Country Bear Jamboree was going to be disappearing. And I was devastated because I love the Country Bear Jamboree, but I also said, if it disappears, I understand why, because like I said, every time I go there, there's no one there. Let's see. We're going to take a look at my numbers for last year. I think for this one, I averaged like just a little over 1 a month for the Country Bear Jamboree. Where's my numbers at? 15 times. I watched Country Bear Jamboree 15 times. Out of those 15 times, I would be shocked if I watched it with at least 200 people. I would be shocked over the course of last year if there was a total of 200 people or more in that theater with me. It was almost always that. The last 2 days, every time I've gone to the show, it's been packed. And every time I leave the show, I think, where have all these people been? Because I don't think they're fans of Country Bear Jamboree. I think they're just like, oh, this show's leaving. Now we're a fan. And unfortunately, I think that's the case for a lot of times when things disappear. Is now all of a sudden you'll see this like giant group of people coming. I actually saw one person that I know who told me they didn't like Country Bear Jamboree at all, and I saw them yesterday at one of the shows, and they're like, well, I'm here with friends, like they all wanted to go see it, so I'm here. And I'm like, that's crazy though, because you didn't like the show, and they're like, I didn't think my friends liked the show, but now we want to see it as many times as possible. It's like, I remember for Maelstrom, it was the same thing. Maelstrom, before they would, before they announced it was closing, I remember I would go on Maelstrom all the time. It was one of my favorite attractions. And every time I would go through, I would just walk right onto the ride, no problem. Then they announced that it was going to be closing down. And next thing you know, it's like everyone's favorite ride. I'm like, where have you guys been? So I think that's the main reason for the retheming. And it's funny because a lot of people I've talked to have been like, I can't believe they're closing it down. And most of the people I've talked to, I've never heard them talk about Country Bear Jamboree once before. I have a few friends who are a few of my really good friends, like my friend Alex, who I don't know if Alex, you're still out there. Alex and I watched Country Bear Jamboree together quite a few times throughout the years. Like I know she's a fan. I know she's going to be heartbroken about it. But I know other people who are just like, not a big fan. I would be myself most of the times when I went to where were all these people? That's the problem is these people are now like fans of the show, and they weren't fans before. It's one of those things that just drives me crazy. Like it's one of those, if you are afraid that there might be an attraction that you do like that might be closing down, go enjoy it as much as possible. So then Disney's like, oh, this is a popular attraction, maybe we shouldn't close this down. But yeah, it's funny because now so many people I talked to are massive fans of it, and they weren't before. Are you going to be at the last show tomorrow night? It'll be in 2 nights. It's going to be the last show. I will not be. Unfortunately, I will be at work when they did it. That's been the problem with this one, with Splash Mountain last year, with Maelstrom. A lot of the times they've made the announcements for when the attraction's closing, they've made it too close. They made the decision too close to when I can't call off or when I can't reorganize my schedule anymore. So yeah, unfortunately, I will be at work. I will be going tomorrow, probably before I go to work, and I'm going to try to go Friday again before I go to work as well. Although I'm fully okay if today is my last day going. Like I did one show today with no video. I didn't do any video. I didn't do any pictures. I didn't nothing. And I just sat back and I enjoyed the show, thinking this might be my last time ever watching the show. I'm just going to sit here and enjoy every last second of it. But I am going to try to do my best to get over there tomorrow and to get over there on Friday as well. Unbelievable. I need more money so I don't even have to go to work. I don't know how some people can live. It really blows my mind. But yeah, no, I'm going to be doing my best to try to get over there. Well, I've got reservations for tomorrow, and then Thursday, I don't, but we'll see. Work will kill me if I call in sick. They will literally kill me because of the amount of days that I need off. I can't do an extra day of saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to call in. I mean, I just was off for like 2 weeks. And then I'm going to be off for another 2 weeks next month, and then another 2 weeks in April as well. And then I got my 40th birthday, which I want to have at least 1 day off, if not 70. So yeah, unfortunately, and then same thing for like September. I want to get 2 weeks off. So as much as I would love to be there at the last audience, the only problem I can see, like the thing I was thinking about today, that I think it's better to enjoy a last show now opposed on the last day, is today one of the shows, it was all these fans and they were hooting and hollering at like all the wrong times. And all I could think was, if this is the last show, which I feel like it is going to be the last show, I think it's going to be a lot of obnoxious people who are going to be like, hey, I think it's going to be a lot of people who are just being loud to be loud and to be seen there, opposed to actually meeting fans. It wouldn't be as fun. That's how it was for Maelstrom. Actually, Snow White Scary Adventures was a lot of people. It was a lot of people who I was like, you don't even know this ride. I rode that ride 27 times on the last day, and I was like, I could tell a lot of people were like just there to be seen there, and I want to be there. I just want to ride the ride and to enjoy the ride. Okay, any other questions here? Let's check out our thingamajigger. Have we gone up at all? We started at 3,794, and we are currently at. We went up 1 subscriber. Wait a minute, that's not the one I wanted. I wanted this one here. Yes. All right, we went up 1 subscriber, so we are going to go into a little bit of extra innings. If we can get up another subscriber, we will go into another extra inning. So our next questions do not have to be about Country Bear Jamboree. If you guys want to throw questions about anything and everything Disney, throw them into the chat room, and we'll go through and answer any and all questions about anything and everything Disney. While you guys think, I'm going to get a drink of water. Yeah, if you're not already subscribed, I would love it if this number hit 3,800 today. My goal is to have this at 4,000 by my birthday. So 2 months from today, actually. Have you gone on a good to go? Of course. Yeah, I've gone. I think today was a good to go day, wasn't it? Yeah, today was a good to go day. Yesterday was a good to go day. I think Friday was a good. I mean, I go every day, so I have gone. Yeah, I think it's been 3 or 4 times. It's like going to the park. How you used to go to the park, where you just show up, scan your magic band, and you're good to enter. So yeah, it's not bad at all. It's very easy. How are the crowds any different? I do feel like, I feel like right now the crowds have been insane. The last week has been insane. Like absolutely insane how busy the crowds are. But I think a big part of it is there's a lot of people from like Brazil up here right now, Argentina, Chile, a lot of the countries in South America, because it's their summer right now. So a lot of them are coming on vacation right now. And I feel like it's more this year than I've ever seen in previous Decembers. Like January. January always has a little bit of a pickup for the international crowd, but I feel like this year it's been really, really, really busy. So I could be wrong, but I just have that feeling. How many times you watch Wish? I am up to 4, including my time in the theater. So I'm working on a video right now for my YouTube channel. I'm working on a video where I am trying to point out all the different nods to previous Disney movies in there. It's just taking a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. I was hoping to have it out by tomorrow, but I'm thinking it's probably going to be more likely sometime later this week. I'm thinking tomorrow I might actually have it. So I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to do a Disneyland video tomorrow or a Country Bear Jamboree video tomorrow. I'm kind of thinking about doing Country Bear Jamboree on Friday, since it is the last day, and releasing the video that day, and hoping that we get some views from it. But I'm not 1,000,000% positive yet on exactly the thing. All right, any other questions out there? We'll give you guys another minute here to throw any other questions out there. We are still at 3,795 subscribers right now. Oh, look, and it says 37 and 37. Update on the books. I did work on the book a little bit last night, the Dinoland book. So I'm going to get the Dinoland book done sometime soon, I'm hoping. I don't know when yet. As soon as I finish that, then I'm going to be going back to the Cruise Line book and putting as much effort into the Cruise Line book as possible, and hopefully have the cruise line book released after the treasure set sail and after I go on the treasure, so I can include it in the book. And there we go. How's the cruise line book? So Dinoland USA. Okay. I just need more time. If you want to be a Patreon pal, let's throw that out there again. Patreon pals, truly, the money that I make from Patreon pals right now, I've been using as a way for me to take more time off of work to focus on books and videos and everything else, because my life is very hectic right now. But yeah, so Dinoland book, I'm trying to get that done because the announcement of Country Bear Jamboree was like, hey, it's closing in 2 weeks, and I was like, so it's kind of rattled me for the Dinoland book, where I'm like, I've got to get the Dinoland book done, because I'm pretty sure at some point they're just going to say, hey, by the way, you need to, you need to get the thing. You need to, like, you got 2 weeks until Dinoland closes. And I'm gonna be like, holy cow, I got to get Dinoland book done. So I'm focusing on the Dinoland book. I am focusing on, I'm doing a little bit of the cruise line stuff, but not a ton right now. I'm also have a bunch of pictures and a bunch of videos that I took over in Disneyland that I'm starting to put together into a massive file, labeling things like the Great Mouse Detective and how it's got like a, where that reference is, and then on top, and I'm still trying to figure out for the Disneyland book, do I do a massive closer look book, or do I do a from screen to theme book? I don't know. I'm kind of thinking from screen to theme, but I'm not. I really don't know. And then on top of that, with Splash Mountain closed and then Tiana's Bayou Adventure coming, and Country Bear Jamboree is now going through, this book right here, it's going to have 2 big sections of it are going to be completely changed by the end of this year. And so because of that, I'm also thinking I need to do an update on a closer look at the Magic Kingdom's Frontierland book sometime too. You found the video of me saying, oh no. Throw the link to the Patreon. Let me see if I can. I've got it on my phone, but I don't have it. Let me see if I've got it on here. Oh, here we go. Haha. I found the link. Okay. There's the link. If it's going through. There it goes. For Patreon as well. Yeah, we just need more time. And if you want to become a YouTube, there's a YouTube, I don't know, what's it called? YouTube subscribers? I don't know. Joe, are you still on there? Joe's one. We've got 2 so far. I just launched it a few months ago, and we got 2 on there. I haven't really even advertised it. This is the first time I've literally ever talked about it. And then over on Instagram, we also have, there's a subscriber program on Instagram. So I've got the subscriber program. Those people get an additional picture every single day as well. So yeah, we have lots of different things. But yeah, I'm trying to find more time to get everything done. The last month has been insane. I was trying to figure it out yesterday, and I figured out that my last time with a day off where I slept in was December 14th. And then from December 14th all the way until yesterday, I really had no days where I didn't have anything going on where I could just kind of sleep in. So yesterday I slept in a lot. I slept more hours than I've slept in ages. I slept a lot, and then after I slept, I relaxed for about an hour. I caught up on some stuff on Disney Plus that I haven't watched. I watched Wish. I started to write a little bit. Then I went to the park. I came back. I wrote a little bit more, watched Wish again. And yeah. No, please, Eric, please no. I need to go on the cruise because I need to talk about the new island. So, haha, in your face. Okay, but we are going to be wrapping this up right here, as we've been talking about all night here. If you, oh wait, I just clicked away from the site. There we go. There's Sometimes I get hurt and I cry, and sometimes I wails. But hopefully you're Patreon pals. If you're not already a Patreon pal, make sure you become a Patreon pal for as low as $1 a month to help support the channel and help us to continue to grow. Also, if you're on YouTube, someplace down here, there is a thing that says subscribe or join, or I don't know what it says, but it says something. And if you guys want to click that thing as well, it is a monthly fee. And again, it helps us build the channel here. So as always, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed our show talking about the Country Bear Jamboree. Hopefully you learned something. If you didn't, I apologize. But if you did, well, I'm very happy, because that's the whole reason that we do the Wednesday show. So you guys can learn a little something as we go through every single week and talk about Disney. As always, if you're not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe, and we will see you guys all again next week. And of course, as always, remember that anything can happen if you let it. Until next time, have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye. Goodbye now. Goodbye now. Bye-bye. Goodbye. Are they are they gone? Are they gone? Oh, good. My cheeks are just killing me. I just